Hello everyone. We have already discussed about the characteristics of monorails. Now let us look up to the classification system. The monorails they are classified on the basis of various categories. So one of the category which we are going to discuss today is the mode of nutrition. So the bacterium they are divided on the basis of their mode of nutrition. First of all, most of the bacterium they are autotrophic in nature. It means they are capable of utilizing the inorganic substances present in the nature and forming organic substance out of it. This is a common way by which they can prepare their own food. In order to do this autotrophic mode of nutrition or self preparation of their food, they perform two types of activities or two modes of nutrition. One of the mode is photosynthetic mode. In this photosynthetic mode, the bacterium they perform normal photosynthesis. But this normal photosynthesis is slightly different from the one which is done by the plants, as because the substance which is used or the kind of chlorophyll which is used is a bacterial chlorophyll. So specialized chlorophyll is used, and even the raw materials used are quite different. The raw materials which are used are hydrogen sulfide, thiosulfide, hydrogen, and as because these substances are used in spite of water, the substance or the evolution of oxygen is not done over here. We see that the release of sulfur dioxide is there, or some other gases are evolved, but not oxygen, as because this photosynthesis is quite different from normal photosynthesis. So that's why you have to always keep in mind that bacteriochlorophyll it utilizes the hydrogen sulfide and releases a gas which is sulfur dioxide or S2 as an end product or a byproduct of the reaction. Along with sulfur dioxide, definitely ATP molecules are formed and they provide the energy for various metabolic activities of the bacterium. The second type of photosynthetic mode or autotrophic mode of nutrition is chemiosynthetic mode. In this chemiosynthetic mode of nutrition, the organisms or the bacterium they are performing or preparing their food in the absence of oxygen. So there is no presence of oxygen, anaerobic condition is there, and they utilize inorganic substances to form organic substance for providing them energy. So the inorganic substances which are utilized are the carbon dioxide and hydrogen, and what do they produce as an end product of it? They produce the methane gas, and methane gas is utilized for two things. One, for giving them a environment where it is anaerobic condition is maintained, and as because the anaerobic condition is maintained, the chemiosynthetic mode will be much more feasible for the organisms which are performing the nutrition in this anaerobic environment. And the bacterium which performs these kind of nutrition is nitrifying bacteria, denitrifying bacteria, sulfur bacteria, iron bacteria, and all these bacterium are performing the same reactions which were performed by the Archaebacterium. If you remember the reaction of Archaebacterium, there also we had used carbon dioxide and hydrogen in order to produce methane. And similar thing is happening over here. It's just that the typical Archaebacterium we are not talking about. We are talking about normal bacteria which are found in the environment. But the entire process is almost the same. Now let's see the other category is the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. It means that the organisms they are not preparing their food by themselves, they are relying on some other organism for their food, and the dependence on some other organism can be in two types. The first type is in case of saprophytes. Saprophytes are those kind of bacteria who perform or who rely on saprophytic mode of nutrition. It means they depend on dead and decaying plants and animals in order to draw their organic food matter. And directly the organic matter from the dead and decaying organisms is taken up and is utilized by the bacterium in order to provide their or in order to fill up their nutritional needs. The second type is of parasitic bacterium. So parasitic mode of nutrition is seen in most of the disease causing bacterium, where the organisms or the bacterium they invade a host. A host is invaded, and this host will be providing nutrition to the bacterium. In return, the bacterium will be causing some harm to the host in the form of certain disease or even some ailments. Some deficiency disease can also be there as a result of this parasitic attack on the organism on which the bacterium is relying for its food. So, as an end, we can summarize that there are basically two types of nutritional modes. One is autotrophic mode, which has two more types: photosynthetic or photosynthetic mode of nutrition, and another one is chemiosynthetic mode of nutrition. Whereas heterotrophic mode of nutrition has again two types of nutrition. One is saprophytic mode of nutrition, and another one is parasitic mode of nutrition. Now let's see some of the examples for each type. So the very first one was autotrophic bacterium. So they show, or the bacterium which show photosynthetic mode of nutrition are the cyanobacterium. Chemiosynthetic mode of nutrition is shown by the methanococcus. Sometimes some other bacterium also perform these functions, and most of the bacterium which perform photosynthetic mode of nutrition, if the environment becomes anaerobic, then they only turn their entire process or entire mode of nutrition into chemiosynthetic mode of nutrition. Okay. Now another kind of mode was heterotrophic or saprophytic mode of nutrition. Saprophytes, some of the bacterium which are found on the dead and decaying organisms can be placed over here, and parasitic organisms, all the disease causing ones. Now let's see the next type of classification. It is based on the gram staining. Gram staining is a technique by which we color the or dye the bacterium. The requirement or the necessity for the bacterium to be dyed is as such that we can see them underneath the microscope. If the bacterium were placed as such under the microscope, they would be colorless, and we won't be able to see them as because they all are transparent. So in order to provide them some color so that they become visible, we use this gram staining technique. Here is one entire setup which is there, and in order to understand this setup, think about a few things. Like first thing is, you think about one drop of curd. Curd contains lactobacillus, so we will be taking a test tube, sorry, a slide. Over the slide we will be placing little amount of curd. Then with the help of another slide, if we place a slide over here, suppose a slide is placed over here and this was a drop of curd, we will spread it by sliding the entire slide from back forth, and in this way we will spread the slide with the curd which is there, and then after we will heat fix it. Heat fixing means we will just pass the slide over a flame, and we will do it two or three times so that two things take place. One, the bacterium gets fixed, and even if there is some moisture which is there in the slide will be dried up. Now, as soon as this is done, then after we perform the very first part, that is this portion, we add crystal violet to the uh, or few drops of crystal violet to the slide and let it rest in the same condition for 2 to 3 minutes. After staining it for 2 to 3 minutes, then after we just remove it and we add iodine solution over it. How are we removing it? We are just drying the excess amount of crystal violet which is present with the help of filter paper. Then after we, as soon as we added this iodine solution acts as a mordant. It means it helps in fixing the bacterium over the slide and helps in killing the bacterium And as the bacterium is completely killed, it will not be showing any kind of movement anymore. So there will be no chance that the bacterium can be washed off. So the third thing which we do is this: we wash it with alcohol. As we are washing the slide, which was colored with crystal violet and iodine with alcohol, some of the bacterium, they lose the color of the dye. The bacterium which lose the color of the dye, they are the gram negative bacteria. In order to color them, we we have already colored gram positive bacteria, but how to see the gram negative bacteria? In order to see the gram negative bacteria, we must color them. So we use pink color, and the second time the color is taken up by the bacteria, we are no more washing it, and this color is retained by the bacterium forever. And that's why these bacterium are known as gram negative bacteria, and they are pink colored. So this is about just basic knowledge how we do the staining. Now let's see the details about the gram positive bacteria. The gram positive bacteria, we differentiate them, the gram positive and the gram negative bacteria, on the basis of two things. One is the cell wall, and the second one is their chemical and physical properties of the cell wall. So as well as chemical properties of the cell wall is taken into account before doing this classification. Why physical properties? Because if the cell wall is thick, then only the absorption of the crystal violet takes place, and it is retained also in the layers of the bacterium. Whereas if the this is about the physical characteristic. The chemical property is that the chemical nature of the thick cell wall is peptidoglycan, and it is a lipid holds on to the crystal violet stain and does not allow it to wash off. And that's why the primary stain is retained, causing the gram positive bacteria to look purple. So all the purple looking bacteria are gram positive bacteria. Some of the examples are Bacillus, Diplococcus, Staphylococcus, Mycoplasma, Enterococcus, Streptococcus, Clostridium, and Mycoplasma. You all can learn at least two or three names, that is sufficient. Next type of bacterium or classification was on the basis of the gram negative stain. These all bacterium, they look, yes, they look pink colored. And the reason why they look pink color is because of again two natures of the cell wall. One is thin, it is the layer of the cell wall is very thin, and it is again made up of crystal, sorry, peptidoglycan. So as soon as the layer is washed with ethanol, as the layer is very thin, it can very easily lose the color, and that is the reason why crystal violet is washed off. Then the secondary staining is done with the help of safranin, which is pink colored, and that gives the color to the gram negative bacteria. Lugol's iodine is also used at times after addition of crystal violet to strengthen the bonds of the stain with the cell membrane. And in spite of adding Lugol's iodine, only the gram positive bacteria will contain the crystal violet stain, not the gram negative bacteria. So gram negative bacteria, the examples are Proteobacteria, Cyanobacteria, spirochetes, green sulfur bacteria, green no sulfur bacteria. So these are some of the examples of gram negative bacteria. So you just need to remember two or three examples and what are the bases of this gram positive and gram negative staining. So we have just discussed two types of classification of the bacterium. One is on the basis of mode of nutrition, and second one is gram staining.